Hello everybody, how's it going? Dr. Incompetent here, and let's do another quest review for RuneScape. So the next quest that I did in timeline order was the Restless Ghost. This quest, unlike perhaps the previous quest, Cook's Assistant, was one I felt was very, very dramatic, important, interesting in the sense that you got into more of the game's lore from a supernatural and even perhaps theological level, and there was just overall a sense of heaviness for this quest that was not present with Cook's Assistant. But that's not to take away from anything, because lightness and humor are really just part of what draw me to RuneScape. But the fact that it's a multi-layered onion of different kinds of quests with both humor and severity and depth makes RuneScape that special game that it is in terms of lore and quests. So with this quest, you need to speak to Father Eric. And this is great because you get to go into a Temple of Saradomin, I believe for the first time in the game. You're really experiencing Saradomin and getting a taste of the gods as they exist in Gielinor. Saradomin is presented to the new player, at least the way I took it, is very much, the analog to Christianity within the game. I know that's not a fair representation, and then there's a lot of controversy about the gods. People have all kinds of opinions about Saradomin, Zamorak, the Gothics, on and on, no doubt. But for me, it just feels like, okay, this is Lumbridge, this is the big city that you make it to after doing the tutorial, and you go there, you have the Duke's Palace, and then right across from the Duke's Palace, you've got this church, which is a Saradomin church, and it just feels like it has that kind of Catholic or, Christian vibe going on. It's definitely the god that is presented as being quote-unquote good, but I know it's more complicated than that. And I want to speak just very freely right here and say, with these quest reviews, what I'm trying to do is not be spoilery in case you are someone like me who is coming into the game and is playing it in timeline order and wants to, once they've completed a quest, go back and check out one of these reviews and see if my opinion aligns with their own, or if they become furious by the incompetence and shame of my review, which is, more than likely. But anyway, as I build this series and I want to just communicate and be transparent with you guys, I'm listening to the comments that you've posted as we're doing this, and everything about my RuneScape content is a community experience. It is shaped by the community, it's shaped by your guys' input, because that is what is the principal driver for me to be interested in RuneScape, is the community. And it's a symptom of MMOs in general, which is that shared sense of playing the game and loving it and appreciating it. And the dialogue I get from people who are longtime vets is really what kept me in. If nobody participated in my experience with RuneScape and nobody kind of was like there helping me along, I don't believe I would have stuck with it very long at all if I was just kind of on my own. Because of that, this is what is happening, and I just want to be very forthcoming about that at the outset. Things might change and evolve about these reviews as I go, but that's where we're at right now. So I don't want to spoil too much. I'm not going to get into a huge theological diatribe here. I just wanted to set that out, which is cool about this quest, that you get exposure to the gods of Gielinor, at least one of them. And so you speak to Father Eric, and he tells you that there's a ghost haunting the graveyard, and that's great. So you get to see the graveyard in Lumbridge, and you understand that there's a ghost. So now you're not making a cake, you're, speaking with the dead, and that ratchets up the importance of your quest, and I felt like I was rightly doing something that was like higher risk with bigger stakes and more impactful and more befitting of a hero at this point. Okay, so then you get to go talk, as you're doing this quest, you get to talk to Father Ernie, who is awesome. He's a ghost expert, but he's also this like really reclusive dude who wants to just be left alone and meditate in his shack. At least that's what he claims he is doing. So he's like seeking solitude. And it's part of the humor of this game that really just makes me smile, is that you are interrupting this guy's retreat. Like, he's, withdrawn from the world. He is in the swamps of Lumbridge, just trying to get away from people, living in this inhospitable environment, kind of like Yoda on Dagobah, and we're just marching down there and banging on his door and bothering him, and you get to do that even later in the game. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but that's also what makes this quest cool in my mind, is that you meet these characters, both Father Eric and Father Ernie, who you will return to and kind of, build up a developed relationship with as you do more questing. So you go and you do what Father Ernie wants you to do, and you get a Ghost Speak Amulet. And this Ghost Speak Amulet that you get is one of the most important items that you get, especially early in the game. I mean, this thing, you will have it forever. You will use it for quests again and again and again. You're like, oh, there's a dead person, I can't speak to them. They say, like, by the way, one of the great things about RuneScape, when you try to talk to ghosts, they make this like wah sound effect, that is they use onomatopoeia to kind of like spell it out in the dialogue box when you're talking to the ghosts or the dead people, and you're like, whoops, I need my Ghost Speak Amulet, better go get that thing. And so, this item that you get is very, very important, very hilarious, and it feels powerful, like I'm getting a supernatural ability right here. So you do that, and then you talk to the ghost, and the ghost doesn't have like an elaborate reason why it is gone, or like not departed, and why it's haunting the graveyard. It's just like, my head is missing, my skull. And so you got to go and search a mine. You fight a warlock, which is cool. You actually fight a skeleton warlock. You don't have to, but you can. And when you take the skull, you get to fight something. You're fighting skeletons, which is just a really cool low-level thing to do in RPGs. Just like very emblematic of the genre, is that you're dispatching of these kind of like animated dead that are not very hard, but nonetheless upsetting. And you do that, and then you go back and you tell Eric it's done, and you complete the quest. And what you get are experience lamps for prayer, and you get to keep your Ghost Speak Amulet forever. So for me, this quest is awesome. It's not like the best quest in the world, but it's certainly a huge step up in my mind from Cook's Assistant. It's not the longest quest in the world, but it's, it sets the stage for all kinds of things. You get these really iconic items, meet these very, not the most major characters in the game for sure, but characters that you will return to. And so because of those reasons, I tie everything together, and I would give this quest a B+. Okay, so it's pretty high. It's probably just a B, but I'm going to give it a B+, because you get the Ghost Speak Amulet. You talk to Eric and Ernie and people that you are going to regard again, and it just is one of the main reasons that I started to get pulled into the game. Cook's Assistant didn't exactly grab me hook, line, and sinker and say, hey, you really want to play this. It was more whimsical amusement. But this quest is like, oh, okay, cool. It's whimsical, and it can be funny in places, but it's also impactful, and I felt like I was doing something helpful. And so I, at the end of the day, give this quest a B+. Now, I have been given a request. B+ in the American grading system is like a 88 out of 100. So you can regard this, if you were thinking out of 10, this would be like an 8.8 out of 10. And I give it a really high review. I inflate it perhaps because I have an attachment to this quest as one of the things that helped solidify this game as something I wanted to spend more time on. Now, you might not rate it as high as me. You might think it's just a B or even a C. But I'd love to chat with you guys about what you regard this quest as when you think back on it and you evaluate its merit. What I like to do when I kind of pontificate on how I make these evaluations is I just get a knee-jerk feel for it, but it's also rated on how funny I think the quest is. It's relative, of course, to all the other quests in the game, and it is important in terms of the overall plot and the lore, how well designed the quest was, how easy and intuitive it is to navigate what's going on, and the overall sense of grandeur and importance I drew from the quest that helped me crystallize this sense of, like, is this an iconic, memorable quest? And for me, it is. And every time I pass by the church in Lumbridge or the graveyard or Father Ernie's shack, I am reminded of these things. Of course, there is a sense of that for any quest that you do, but to a higher degree. So that's my rating, or that's my grade as a professor with no qualifications to grade RuneScape quests. What do you think it is? Everyone, thanks for watching. Take care.